What's up, guys? It's John at National Sports Entertainment, and I wanted to go into tomorrow's Bengals-Browns game. I know I've been flirting with it for a bit. It's just I really wanted to see, and I'm glad I did. I didn't know it was uploaded 2 days ago. I wanted to see first things first take. I promise I'm not a shill for that channel. I just genuinely think they're the only ones who are A, entertaining, and B, say they put their perspective in a way where if you understand it's scripted, even if they don't do it intentionally, you can, in my opinion, do a much better job of seeing where games might be headed. They I guess the best way to put it is a lot of, as they say, what is it called? I think it's inside baseball. I think that's the term. They basically use a lot of inside baseball terms. So for this game, I actually switched my opinion after watching them, so we'll have to see what happens. And ironically, it's not their pick, actually. Nick Wright has the opposite pick. But I like the Bengals. And I initially liked the Browns for the reason a lot of people probably like the Browns. They probably say this line doesn't make much sense, and the Browns are at home, and all these different things. People are going to be pounding Cincinnati, and I do understand that. But as we saw today with Colorado, which I'll talk about them for a second because I think it's pretty interesting, and I think it ties right in with my Coco narrative. I tried bringing it up before. Just because we don't see things in black and white does not mean powers that be don't. It doesn't mean that these entities don't use that as a tool. So something interesting with Dion, and then I'm going to get on to why I like the Bengals. I mean this literally. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't go on social media. I don't watch it." Like if I go on YouTube, I watch some people's videos, the other channels I like. I don't go on Twitter. If I do, it's just to check crypto out, and I just stay away from politics, the news, all that stuff. I see each politician as a person. Well, most of them are robots, but I take the D and R away and just try and strip that away and individually assess everybody, as I think everybody should. So anyway, not to go on a tangent, but a couple days ago, and Stephen A has been doing this for a bit now, putting out a lot of political talk, which is fine. He wants to use his brand. He probably understands, the sector he's in. There's a lot of people in it. He might get flipped pretty soon. He sees what guys like everybody's saying. Once they watch First Things First, oh, this is the only channel that's good. So their ratings are now where they're competing on YouTube. It's not a coincidence that they're on YouTube now. So anyway, he's getting political. Obviously, Coco's political, which is all interesting. Yeah, Kev, the Coco is a nice one. I really thought that it just made sense to me that she would win. It's funny that you post that as I'm talking. I genuinely thought they were going to have her win. Again, it's a big win for the Black American community, and that's how these people think. They are very out of touch. So just because, I know I put out a Coco video and people were like, oh, not people that watch the channel that understand that I think it's all scripted. But I guess people that just thought I was putting out a random Coco video and they're like, oh yeah, how dare a black oppressed woman win on her own, all these different things. And again, to me, it's never about that, but it is about narratives. So I went over to my parents, had some dinner, and I was, they were asking me about if I had saw anything about Dion, because they know I watch college and all that stuff. And I didn't, because I didn't know what he said in the post-game conference. But apparently it was all about race. So, they're big Trump supporters. So they weren't happy, and they were just like, this guy's a snake. Everything has to be about race. All these, people, they make their way into any kind of power, and then it's about race. They same thing happened with who was it? Megan Rapinoe. So anytime like a Megan Rapinoe comes out or anything like that, she came out, I think, about the inequality. I hear it from my parents before I hear it from anybody else. But yeah, I found it interesting. So maybe you guys can let me know. They're obviously might be a little bit biased, but afterwards I had noticed, and this was just an upload that I saw, Stephen A. and that's what he gives Dion credit for, the HCBUs, which I think a lot of people have no idea who and what really funded the HCBUs. But he gave Dion a lot of credit for the HCBUs doing well, and I'm guessing Dion's speech might have been about that, and that could have been taken racially. But you guys can let me know what you think. I bring it up because, again, if he's again, controversy creates cash. If he's making it about race and he's hitting the talking points that LeBron James hits, and obviously we see LeBron James has been treated pretty well, and a lot of the other star athletes, hit those same talking points, then there's a very good chance that Deion's going to do even better this year than we thought, just because he's obviously saying what they want him to say. Yeah, so I'm just curious. Like I said, I thought that was interesting, but we can get on to the game now. But like I said, I didn't watch his post-conference speech, but it was interesting because they showed how Stephen A. and Shannon, and like I said, Stephen A. is always talking about the HBCUs, which is cool if he means it. I don't think he personally does. I really don't, or he would have done his research. He would know that, in the four years ago, the HBCUs got more money than they ever got, ever. That's on record. So, like, stuff like that, Stephen A. plays dumb about, so that's fine. But him and Shannon were there to show love for Deion. And Colorado's being pitched as, in my opinion, I said they're replacements at first, but now it's almost like I remember the Titans school, where it's just giving me that vibe. And again, I think they steal from movies. I think they steal from wrestling. So I'm just curious, but I have a good feeling that Deion might have an even better year this year than people expect, especially if it's getting political. So anyway, I like the Bengals because on First Things First, they mentioned something really interesting. They were talking about Burrow, and I didn't know he's waiting on a contract. I actually thought he was already had the contract extension, and they said, "Oh, should he play without the contract?" And the guys were all basically saying the same shtick. Broussard was saying, "Oh no, like I love it, it's great, but he hasn't even got the money yet. What if he gets hurt? Now he hasn't secured the bag, and if he holds out, it'll help Chase and all these other guys get paid." And I thought it was an interesting take. I get wanting to help the players. But then also just basically saying, like, get paid and don't give a shit about the team is also another completely attitude. And when they brought it up, I thought of the complete polarization of that. And what did we just see? And these same guys on the show talked about it. There are two issues with Joe Burrow right now. He has a possible injury. Well, he has an injury. It's just how serious it is. And they haven't come to an agreement in a contract. What just happened to the Chiefs? They had two individuals hold out. One of them is injured, and so I'm sorry, not two hold out. Two couldn't play because one was injured, and the other is holding out. Now we have a quarterback, and again, this is, I think most would say it's the Chiefs-Bengals really, maybe Chiefs-Bills, but it's the Chiefs-Bengals conference. Now we have a quarterback, a leader for Cincinnati, who's doing the complete opposite, where he's setting a precedent where, hey, I'm putting the team first and winning first. Mahomes did the same thing. Now he lost, but they made a point. It wasn't because of him. It was because he didn't have Kelsey and Chris Jones. So I actually think they're going to set a precedent by having Burrow win this game. And again, they also brought up how Watson has the biggest contract of all players. So maybe they want to get it normalized where under like people that work put the team first, it doesn't matter. Like people are just going to get the bag like Watson, like Herbert. But I don't think so. I think they're transitioning, and that's why that was the deciding factor with the Chiefs. And I think that's going to be the deciding factor with the Cincinnati Bengals. I think they're going to win. Burrow's going to play well. And then the talking point's going to be, well, look at that. You have the Chiefs who just lost to the Lions. They're probably going to lose to the Jags too. So probably got off to an 0-2 start. And why? Not because Mahomes, Superman took a pay cut. But these other guys, they got greedy. Chris Jones got greedy over a few million. Meanwhile, Burrow, a quarterback who could get way more, theoretically, has a much, he could blow his entire career on one play and not get 200-something million, according to the narrative. And he's out there playing, So I think they're going to use this to, and it might tie right in with the running backs. They do have real disputes. I'm not trying to argue that. So just because it's scripted, I think players understand their leverage. Some overuse it, some underextend it. So you have all these running backs who came out and are basically they have to leave. We're not going to play because you're weeding us out, and we're not going to have a chance to make top money, and what their version of top money. But I think it's always about the quarterback. It's always going to be about the quarterback. Even the Giants. If you have Dan Jones ahead of Saquon Barkley, that tells us all we need to know. It's always about the quarterback. So, again, I find it really interesting Burrow, a guy that is definitely in that club, that elite club. They have him playing. And sure, I guess they could play and lose in a valiant effort and say, well, at least he tried. But I think the talking point is going to be he got it done. He won because he put the team first, and then he's going to get his contract. And that could be a thing all year long where the Chiefs are this low morale team with guys holding out and they just want money. Meanwhile, Burrow sets a great example, does it the right way, plays, and gets his contract the old-fashioned way. So that's just what I think. I think he wins this game, and so I like Cincinnati. The question is, do they cover the 2-point spread? I personally am going to take them on the spread. While a lot of times there's clips and hooks and things of that nature, and again, while I know the spread looks a little fishy, I think Cincinnati is going to take this one. Almost every time the Bengals play the Browns, it's a 3-point game or less. So it is fishy, but at the same time, even before Watson got there, these two teams always had very thin spreads. And I think it's just because of the division they're in, it's portrayed as a very gritty one. But yeah, so again, just based off of what I saw on First Things First, the way they were talking about it, I thought of, well, this is interesting. We just saw the Chiefs and how it worked out for them. So I would think with the formula for Burrow, we might very well get the opposite. So this is a game I really like, and I want to go into that next because, like I said, I always like to do recaps. So we have NC State didn't come through. That was a dog I had picked. I picked the dogs as leg ones a lot because, of course, they're less likely to come through. Now, we got the Lions as a leg 3. So it doesn't mean we never pick dogs on, leg 2 or leg 3. But I try and reserve them mostly for leg 1. That way, leg 2 and leg 3, we're dealing with a much, more probable outcome. So in this one, it's going to be a cover. And again, I liked the Browns going in. I did. But I think for the narrative, especially because it's Burrow. If it was some guy, I don't even know who the Falcons have at quarterback, to be honest. But if it was just another, a decent quarterback, even a Daniel Jones, I went over him, or even a Dak Prescott, I don't think it would matter. But I do think it matters when it's Joe Burrow, who's the face out. Him and Mahomes is the face, and he's like the Manning. He's like the Brady. He's like the Manning to Burrow's Brady, or to Mahomes' Brady, in my opinion. So I just do like this after seeing what they had to say about it. And there's a good chance because he doesn't have the contract. The public is very conditioned to just assume, okay, well, he's not going to care because all of these other players are acting the same way. So when you have a guy who hasn't got a contract and he's injured, I can definitely see the public, based off of how other people act that are in this position, saying, okay, well, he's, even if he plays, I don't see him going nuts. He's not going to try and injure himself, all these different things. So I like the Bengals for the cover, and it's going to be a leg 2. So that we just attach that to this sequence. And as I've gone over several times, it's just a level system. So leg 1 is 1 unit, leg 2 is going to be 2 units, and leg 3 is 4 units, of course. So that's my play for the NC State loss. So as you can see, most of our sequences, this one was a loss, so we're going to have to find a leg 2 for this one. Most of our sequences we have closed. We got the Nebraska under, which was nice, and that was I got that on leg 1. So everyone we close is 25 or a unit, unless it's one like the Lions, which was nice. Like I said, we profited 4 units because it was 4 units at almost 2-1, so we got 105 net on that one. But all the closed ones are 25 units. Steelers and Patriots are our only other leg 2s tomorrow. So again, with the system, we really only want 2 out of 3. Even 1 out of 3 is acceptable because that only sends 2 to a leg 3. And just at the rate we're closing, I know it might sound complicated if you've never seen my channel, but if you watch any of my videos in order, you'll see very quickly that I cover it every night, and I go into the details of leg 2 and leg 3 and why I use this system. So yeah, just for people that are trying to tail, like I said, that's the reason I make this list, so people can get the exact pick, the exact unit, and as it tallies up, This has changed the 7 and 3. The 7 and the 0 still stands because we haven't lost the 3 legs sequence yet, which is nice. We had one go to a leg 3 and we closed it. So yeah, that's what I like. If you didn't, like I said, Steelers beat Niners, all these other ones, Jets, Panthers. I had covered these in other videos and why I like them. I think they just make sense that they're going to win. So for me, I think the Browns here, or the Bengals covering the Browns is, of the ones left that I had seen, the best leg 2. So I'm going to make it a leg 2 for our NC State loss. And again, the goal is we're not going to hit a 70% clip. It's just to get the best value and to go. If we lose a leg 3, so if we lose 3 in a row, as I've gone over in other videos, if Lions had lost, that's minus 7 units, which is not fun. But with our other sequences, we've actually profited more than the 7. So even if they had lost and that flipped, which would be an 11-unit flip, we'd still be a little in the green. So that just shows, like, even it's really hard not to profit as long as you don't do one thing, and that's chase it beyond leg 3. And a lot of people have used the system and then came to me and they said, yeah, I just really wanted it back, so I put this much on this team, or closed the sequence and then just played another random game because they won money. For me, I've learned, as long as you stay disciplined and just do leg 1, leg 2, leg 3. If leg 3 loses, we close it out. We're not going to chase and risk losing 15 units on one, to win one. Then all season long last year, the value held. So let me know what you think. Like I said, I'm guessing this might be a curveball because if you know how I pick, you probably assume that I would definitely take the Browns here. Normally I would have. I just think it's going to be a talking point of the guy who played before, securing the bag and got it done and won. And then you have the Chiefs now who could very well start off 0-2, 0-3. They play the Jets in week 4. They could start off with a rough record because the team doesn't want to, come together and make sure everybody can play. So it's always about a team game. So they're going to never push one individual guy. But in this case, again, it's not really one guy. Burrow just happens to be the guy that was injured, and now he's saying, no, I'm ready to go. And I think they're going to play really well as a team. Not saying the Browns aren't going to play well. I think the Browns will be fine. I think they'll do all right. But I have a feeling that if a team is going to really just do bad that people aren't expecting, it is going to be them. Because I have a decent feeling that Pittsburgh might have a better year than them. And that just, if you leave what's left, that leaves the Ravens, the Browns, and the Bengals. So it's going to be really hard for the Browns, in my opinion, to have a good year anyway. So yeah, I like the Bengals here for the cover. And tomorrow, I should be up before the games. If there's any other ones that I think of, I'll make a video. I don't like to play every game just for the sake of playing them. Sometimes it'll be like 5 a.m. or something, and I'll be just searching online. I'll find an over/under I like or something of that effect. I'll put that in my buy me a coffee. That one we're doing pretty good on. We got Miami over today, stuff like that. But these ones that I post on YouTube, like I said, this is just excluding that. So, all the profits here don't even count that. That's because I understand if you're just watching the videos, these are the only picks you're going to get. So we're up a few more units than like I said, the 10. I think we're up 10 units net because we got a couple on the Buy Me a Coffee. But for the most part, I do try and get all the picks that I like out in a video. But I'm never going to just say, you know what, I'm going to throw 50-50 out there because I think it's always about picking our spots, So it's been good so far. We didn't have a great college day today. USC looks like it's going to go over. The reason I posted that one I posted in my Buy Me a Coffee, I did in the comments if people ask me, I do give my honest opinion. And someone did ask me if I liked, USC. And the reason I liked them was because the over, and it's 69.5. I mean, as high of a scoring team as USC is, and it could still go under. Sure, last I checked, it was 35-0 with 10 minutes left, and I think in the second. So it looks like it's heading over. I feel like whenever the public sees an over/under in the high 60s they're thinking 70 points. Even if USC puts up 50, the other team sucks. It's going to be under the 69.5, whatever the spread might be. I could be wrong, but that's just one rule of thumb. So if you ever see like a really high over under, more often than not, I'm going to play the over. I didn't see that one until well after I did my video, because I was just looking down my list and I was looking for the highest over under, and I was like, let me see if there's any that are crazy, and it was that one, and it actually moved to 70. So yeah, that's one of the highest ones I've seen in quite a bit. Whenever I see an over under that's like 36, I take the under, and if I see one that's like 65 or more, I'll typically take the over. Just again a rule of thumb that I use, and it's worked out pretty well. So yeah, I think that's it. Like I said, there's a night game tomorrow, so we have some time on that. But we're definitely going to be playing it, and I'll put out a video for that. Also, sometimes my picks are contingent. So depending on how one division game goes at 1 o'clock, that might completely change how I feel about a certain 4 o'clock game or the night game. So that's another reason why a lot of times I try and, in the middle of the 1 o'clock game, get out a 4 o'clock pick that I like, because I can kind of see what's going on. I feel like it just gives us a better idea if we know what happened with other teams in the division. So yeah, like I said, I know if it's like your first time watching, it might sound like a lot, but basically it's just a disciplined money management system that I started this year. I pulled out a lot because last year, again, I ran like 200 over 2,000. So I left 250 in here. The first play we made was Browns coverage. It was the Hall of Fame game. Technically, we're undefeated in the NFL at a modest 2-0, so it's nothing crazy, but we are undefeated, and I think we'll continue to do well. I really do. Football has narratives. It has a good schedule where there's 17 games, a couple more if there's playoffs. So it's not like there's so many games to choose from. You only have so many, so you only have certain spots. Certain teams are only in prime time a couple nights out of the year. So I really like football for that reason, college and the NFL alike. And yeah, if there's a particular one that you think I like jumps out to you, that you think like this one looks weird, let me know in the comments, and I'll probably include it in my next video. But like I said, I'll definitely be covering Cowboys. I'm just trying to look at the narrative. I'm looking at the U.S. Open because they run at the same time in New York, and I'm trying to see who that affects. If that affects, does that mean New York wins? So I'm not too sure. I just thought that was interesting. And then the next night takes place in New York, 9/11. So, of course, that's going to be interesting. I went into that one already. I'll probably just do, in case anything changes, and for props purposes, I'll do another one just going over, again, if anything changed and whatever props I like for that game. We did really good props on the Chiefs, Lions. We went 3 out of 4. One of them being the 450 Ray Rice cash. Rashee Rice cash. So that was nice, and I think again it's pretty. It can be pretty, not easy, but it can be better and more profitable to hit the props when we understand. Okay, the public, just like a team, a public's gonna be slamming this player to score a touchdown. Let's go with the slot receiver instead. Let's go with the backup running back instead. You'd be surprised how often that happens. The backup running back scores after the running back ran down the field for 80 yards. And I don't think that stuff's a coincidence. So yeah, we had a great. If throwing in Coco, we had a great day because she had great odds from the beginning, and she did well. And then a lot of people got in after the first set, which was like plus 350. So that was a great day. Tomorrow, if Djokovic wins, another great day because if anyone followed, we got in on him when he was break even, maybe slight plus odds, and now he's minus 200 something. So that's good. College, not great. I think we're 2 and 3 if USC does go over. Like I said, they were looking good. You never know, though. They can just pull the switch. And I think we have a good NFL day tomorrow. And some of these, I just don't get the line. Steelers, Niners, I don't get that line at all. And there's a few others. So I think we'll have a pretty good day. So take care and happy earnings.